Welcome to the Candidates Forum on Orion Neighborhood Television. Tonight we'll meet your candidates for Township Clerk, Trustee, and Treasurer. Tonight's program is brought to you by Orion Neighborhood Television, the Orion Area Chamber of Commerce, and the League of Women Voters. Now let's head out to the studio for the 2016 Candidates Forum.
The candidates for clerk are Republican Penny S. Schultz, Jen Zielinski. We will take opening statements and we will start in alphabetical order, and you will have 1 minute, and we will start with Ms. Schultz.
Thank you. Hello everyone, I'm Penny Schultz. I am your Orion Township Clerk. Thank you for this opportunity to meet with you this evening. I am a dedicated public servant who began working for Orion Township in 1989. I was elected to serve as your Orion Township Clerk in 2008. From the assessing department to the clerk's office, I have proven my dedication and commitment to the community. The community makes an important decision when we elect our leaders. As an experienced municipal clerk, I have represented you with excellence. I am equipped to conduct elections, manage government affairs, and effectively carry out my responsibilities in my current role as your Orion Township Clerk. It is an honor to represent you.
Thank you. Ms. Zielinski.
Thank you, Jerry. Good evening. My name is Jen Zielinski, and I am running to be your next Orion Township Clerk. I was raised here in Orion Township, and I'm raising my family in Orion Township. My 3 children and my husband, we live in Keatington. I have 20 years of corporate America experience. For the last 13 years, I have been with Volkswagen Credit. Currently, with Volkswagen Credit, I am in their technology department, where I'm in the process of implementing an international portfolio management system with my team. Some might ask why I might decide to leave Volkswagen. Well, my decision to be running for your next township clerk is my passion and drive to serve this community that has shaped me into who I am, to be a bigger part of the community where my children are being raised, to let them see how one person can make a difference, their ability to see me at work, and at times a chance to participate.
Thank you. We will now start our questions, and each candidate will have 1 minute to answer each question unless time is extended by the moderator. The first question, we will start with Ms. Schultz. Holding office is a position of trust. How would you assess priorities of the community and be transparent in your decision making?
Thank you. We do have transparency at Orion Township. One of the first things I did when I came into office in 2008 was to take a look at the boardroom and see what we could do as a board of trustees to enhance the transparency there. I applied for a grant with the Orion Cable Commission, and I received that grant, and we made those upgrades. And what we were able to do is to mirror what was happening in the boardroom so that our residents at home could see what we were doing as a board of trustees. Other ways that I've increased transparency for Orion Township is instituted the board book. That was a great opportunity for our board of trustees to use their devices, whether it be their laptops or iPads, to take a look at their board agenda packets. And we also put that out on the township website so that our residents could see what was taking place in the boardroom.
Thank you. Ms. Zielinski.
I believe that innovation and technology needs to come to the forefront of the clerk's office. Inflexible and outdated systems and processes hinder success. We're currently in the clerk's department not using the software that the remainder of the township departments use, BS&A. To my understanding, the software that is being used in the clerk's office currently is not even supported by the developer any longer. This could be a huge problem for the taxpayers should this system crash. Additionally, Penny, you mentioned board book and that you implemented this, but you're the only one on the board of trustees who doesn't use it. Why don't you use board book?
Ma'am, I'm sorry, we don't allow back and forth.
Okay.
Your views
You're the only
on
one who
the
doesn't
question.
use it. Additionally, I'll leave it there. That's fine.
Jerry, I think she should have a chance to respond.
That's fine.
Yep.
That's fair.
Yep. You have 15 seconds to respond.
30.
30? Okay.
Thank you for the opportunity to respond, but no response is necessary. I implement and fully utilize the board book. We update that on a regular basis for our board members, and I need to have a board packet at the township board meeting in case our board of trustees are failed in the way that they use their device, and we have to have a hard copy. That's imperative that we have that copy available, because if the system crashes or if we indeed have a situation where we can't connect to the website and one of our board of trustees was not able to download the system, we could not take care of the people's business.
Thank you. Next question, we will start with Ms. Zielinski.
Yes.
What government or township positions do you currently involved in? How important is it to be involved in the township?
Currently, I'm involved with a lot of activities through my children's schools, and my involvement with the township has stemmed from my family's ability and desire to be a part of this community. My husband and I both grew up here. My husband is an active member on township boards, and I think it's important for us and my family to be able to step up and give back to this amazing community. I'm ready to do that. I have a desire and a passion to do that for you.
Thank you, Ms. Schultz.
Thank you for asking that question. I'm involved on many boards and commissions in the township. I serve as secretary for the North Oakland Community Coalition, and we are in all of the schools conducting age-appropriate education and training for our youth to stay off drugs and alcohol. That's an important issue that all of us know needs to be addressed. And as a member of that board, I am the secretary keeping track of the minutes, making sure that we're making good decisions and investing in our children's future. I also serve on the Senior Advisory Board. I've been on that board since I was elected in 2008. We owe a debt of gratitude to our seniors, and I'm involved in making sure that we have what our seniors need to be able to be self-sufficient in our communities and the resources available to them. I serve on the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee, and all of you know that we have excellent parks in Orion Township. There are other numerous committees that I cannot talk about at this time because I received the 15-second warning. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, we will start with Ms. Schultz. Technology is important. How is the clerk's office implementing new or future services? What has already been done?
Thank you for asking that question. We will be getting new election equipment, and it's really important that you have a trained, certified municipal clerk to institute that election equipment. That will be rolled out in many of our communities in 2017 who have a May election. And I did receive a grant from the state to get all of our laptops in place so that when we are using our e-poll books, our electronic poll books in our elections, our people are able to come in and vote efficiently. We're able to look up information. And we also have in the clerk's office a fund balance system, which is supported by the developer of that. We are very excited that that's in place. We are not having a problem downloading information from all the other departments because we have efficiently use what we have in place. If I were to go to BSNA, it would cost our residents $125,000 to upgrade, and that is not a cost I'm willing to invest at this time.
Thank you. Ms. Zielinski.
I do think technology is a very important issue in the clerk's office. With regards to getting new election equipment, that's fantastic. That's great news for this community. However, I would like to see the election workers have the opportunity to train online if they choose. I don't think the taxpayers should have to worry about paying for workshops every election. We can do a combination of both. There are residents out there that would appreciate having the ability to train online. Additionally, upgrading to the BSNA software to comply with the remaining township departments not only makes sense, but it keeps uniformity and collaboration between all of the departments. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, we will start with Ms. Zielinski. What do you think of the township and village becoming one community?
That's an interesting question. The township and village, we are all the same. We have a village municipality and they govern those village residents, but as a township, We are all one. We are all together. We have all vested in this community, this great township, and we should continue to exist together and communicate. Open communication is a necessity. I don't see that there's a difference. We have a village, but we are all Orion Township residents.
Thank you, Ms. Schultz.
The interesting thing about the village of Lake Orion is that they have a board that governs them, as well as the township has a board that governs them. And the people in those communities have elected those boards and commissions to represent them. And we need to honor that as a township and as a village. Some of the services that we provide to the village of Lake Orion would be assessment administration services. By law, we do that. And also by law, I am required to provide election services. And I do have to train in person all of my 250 election inspectors by law. I cannot do that online, so it's important to bring them to the township to conduct that required by law to our training. So as I said before, it's up to the boards and commission and the people in those communities to determine if we should be looked at as one municipality.
Thank you. Next question, we will start with Ms. Schultz. What experience, education, or prior knowledge do you have that would support your position as township clerk?
I started working for the township in 1989, and when I started there, I was hired by Joanne Van Tassel, who was our supervisor at the time. I had been a waitress for years, and I was able to take a Job Training Placement Act program through the the Fred Eman Center on Elizabeth Street. And I worked diligently. The first night that I was there at Township Hall, my first day, I took all of the manuals home to learn, 2 of the large assessment administration manuals, to learn my job. I have not stopped growing. I am a certified municipal clerk. I have a master municipal designation, which is an international designation. I also have a certified municipal clerk from the state of Michigan as well. So I have an international designation, I have a state designation, and I'm also a master assessing officer, which serves in many ways for the community to take a look at assessment administration as well. And we are funded by tax dollars. So that's an important piece in my education experience.
Thank you. Ms. Zielinski.
I've worked for 20 years in corporate America. I have the drive and determination, passion and commitment to bring the clerk's office into the 21st century. In my career, I have worked on a multitude of projects, several different teams. I have dealt with customers and vendors, IT. I can work productively in the face of disagreement. Currently, the clerk does not have the experience to bring the technology that is needed to bring this township office into the 21st century. She has been 27 years as a paid government employee. I have had the ability in my career to work in several capacities. This township needs change, and that change is with me.
Thank you.
Jerry, can she respond because she was mentioned and I think she should have a chance to respond.
Yeah, I'd like to just put both of you. We don't mention each other. We answer the question in your views on the question asked. This isn't a debate. This is information, and I'll give you 20 seconds.
To respond because my record speaks for itself.
Okay.
Thank you.
And she gets to answer the question. The next question, we will start with Ms. Zielinski. What are your thoughts on strategic plan for the township going forward? What will it look like in a decade?
With regards to strategic plan, I am going to look at this as the master plan that's in place here at the township. And I believe that smart, calculated decisions that will preserve existing neighborhoods, natural resources, and infrastructure are what's needed to maintain the strategic plan of this community. We need to encourage residents and businesses alike. Without growth, we die. It is important that we continue to grow our community in a positive manner that's beneficial to both residents and businesses.
Thank you. Ms. Schultz.
Thank you. The strategic plan for the township is clear. Our master plan designates what it is we need to do as a community. We have studied that carefully and instituted the master plan for Orion Township. That was recently done. It's clear with the community programs, our Parks and Recreation master plan as well. We need to fully implement those tools, which have been studied very carefully by our consultants, by our engineers, with input from our Board of Trustees, our Planning Commission, and our Zoning Board of Appeals, and most importantly, our residents. They're telling us what they want, and we need to listen and implement those plans fully.
Thank you. The next question, we'll start with Ms. Schultz. Do you believe in absentee ballots for all voters?
I do not. Our legislators are telling us not to do that, and they've studied that very carefully. I do believe, however, that people should have the opportunity to receive an absent voter ballot if they so choose to go to the precincts on Election Day. That's our constitutional right, and we want to honor that. The people are allowed to go to the precincts on Election Day. We have trained election inspectors in place to serve our residents, and we need to continue that process. And I'm hopeful that people will go out and vote on August 2nd, that we'll have 100% participation. That would be my goal.
Thank you. Ms. Zielinski.
I don't disagree with Ms. Schultz. I do not believe that everybody should be able to obtain an absentee ballot. I believe there is just cause for needing an absentee ballot, but I also believe that that is your American right to be able to take that day and go cast your vote and believe in the person that you believe in. I think that's a right that we have built this country on, and I don't disagree with you.
Thank you. Next question, we will start with Ms. Zielinski. What is your understanding of the government use of the city-owned or township-owned phones and computers?
To my understanding, the township-owned phones and computers are just that. They are the property of the township. They are not to be used for personal emails, phone calls, notifications. This is something that has recently been brought to light. On the May 16th board meeting, it was brought to the board's attention that a township email was being used to possibly campaign from. A resident took out the Freedom of Information Act, and it was discovered that yes, in fact, there was a member of the township that was in fact using their email to conduct campaign business, which is illegal. As far as the phones, I have yet to see if there's been a request for the Freedom of Information Act on any of the township board members' phones, but I would be curious to know if there has been campaign happenings on township-issued equipment.
Thank you. Ms. Schultz.
Everyone at the Township Hall that's been issued a phone signs an agreement, and they sign an agreement how they will use that. They also sign an agreement how they will use their laptop and their iPad. And it's important that we follow that agreement. I'm connected to the township 24/7. They've issued a phone to me so that I'm available to our residents. And many of our residents are sending me questions, sometimes in the middle of the night, and I answer them as soon as I get them in the morning. I'm always looking at my email, I'm always checking my voicemail, and I'm always checking my text. So I do use the township iPhone or my phone regularly, and I'm always connected to the township. I think that's important that we are available to our residents.
Thank you. Next question, we will start with Ms. Schultz. How do you stay current on state issues as it affects the township?
That's a great question. I'm currently the president of the Oakland County Clerks Association. I've been elected by my peers to serve in that role. I've been on the executive board now for 4 years. And I also, prior to that, served on the legislative committee. I worked diligently to ensure that our election laws were kept current, and where we had areas where we needed to make change, I was able to work with Representative Colwell and change some of the wording in our election law to remove the instructions off the ballot and place them on the secrecy sleeves in our precincts. The way that I stay current on all of our election laws and election requirements and training requirements, I'm responsible for training training our election inspectors is through the Michigan the Michigan Clerks Association. And I'm also involved with the Michigan Township Association. Everyone knows they're a great agency. They keep us informed. And also our Secretary of State, Ruth Johnson, she's highly involved with her local municipal clerks as well as our county clerk. And so I'm involved and continually training.
Thank you. Ms. Zielinski.
I believe it's very important to stay current on state issues. That in mind, I absolutely fully intend on immersing myself into as much training and opportunity as the current clerk has had. I absolutely will join the International Institute of Municipal Clerks and begin my training. I don't have a problem with this. As of right now, the way I stay current is I pay attention to my local government and I read up on the issues that are facing the state and how it can impact my township in which I live in.
Thank you. We'll start with Ms. Schultz. I'm sorry, we'll start with Ms. Zielinski. Will you attend department head meetings on a weekly basis?
The answer is short and sweet with that. Absolutely. It's part of your job. You can't have a team of people working together if you don't have good attendance. If I had poor attendance at my job right now, I wouldn't have a job. I am committed to working as a team with the department heads and the existing board of trustees to continue to see this township thrive.
Thank you. Ms. Schultz.
Yes, I do. I think that's an important way for information to get out. We need to be able to communicate with one another. We need to know what's happening at Township Hall in different departments. And we need to support one another in the efforts that each department is taking to meet the needs of the residents. I also need to attend those meetings in order to find out what the department heads would like to have on the agenda. That's key. And I need to provide information too, because we work together as a township. We work together with the different departments to assist with the elections. They may need information for us to get information out to the community. We are working really hard with all the departments. And I want to say thank you very much to our Building and Grounds Department. They have been outstanding in making sure that our election precincts are equipped for the voters on Election Day. Staff meetings are key. I also hold staff meetings in my own department on a weekly basis and provide information to my staff. So it's getting the information out. It's coming both ways. I'm receiving and they are as well.
Thank you. Next question, we will start with Ms. Schultz. Why do you want to be township clerk?
I love the community. I love the people. My parents grew up here, and so we've been in this community for approximately 5 generations. My grandparents lived on Bellevue Island, and my parents, Steve and Marlene Rubelman, met and fell in love with each other when they were pretty young. And my dad went off to college, and I always came to this community as a child. I remember some of the changes. I remember when Kelly Beach was over and that huge slide, and I just fell in love with the community as a child. And now, because I have so much experience, I want to serve the people. That's why I'm here. It's about the people. It's not about the boards. It's not about what we do every single day. If we can't meet the needs of the people, then we're not accepting our responsibilities completely. But the reason I serve as your Orion Township Clerk is because you have entrusted me with that responsibility.
Thank you, Ms. Zielinski.
Thank you. I am running for township clerk because I see a need. There is a need in the township to help bring innovation and technology into the clerk's office, and I can do that. Additionally, I have a passion and a drive for this community that has shaped me into the person that I am today. I grew up here. I'm raising my family here. I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. I am vested in this community, and this is where I plan to stay. I want to be a bigger part of this community where my children are being raised, where my family is being cared for. I want people to see how one person can make a difference, that we can be a stronger community together when we work as a team. We can do this. I want to be your township clerk because I have the tenacity and the drive to bring us into the 21st century and hit it out of the park. I can do that for you. I'm willing and ready.
Thank you. Next question, we will start with Ms. Zielinski. Will the widening of I-75 through Oakland County benefit Orion Township?
I think it's going to be a headache at first, but absolutely, I think that the widening on I-75 is going to certainly help bring more out-of-town guests into our community to where they can spend their money and bring their children and family to our parks. I think that the widening, yes, it's going to be troublesome, it's going to be a headache, but it can help bring in more revenue for our community. It'll help improve traffic flow in the long run. And I must agree with what Trustee Steimel said, that it'll help us get home to our Orion Township community where we want to be faster once the roads are improved.
Thank you. Ms. Schultz.
You can get anywhere from Orion Township. We have easy on and off access at 2 entrances, at Baldwin Road and at Joslin Road. We also can get to M59 pretty quickly through I-75 as well. And so I think the widening will benefit the township in the long run. But looking at the short-term things that we need to do to prepare as a community is to make sure that we inform our residents of what's taking place, ensure that we're communicating effectively with the transportation department, and we want to make sure that some of our local contractors are involved with the process. That's a great idea for us to get engaged. And the other thing that I'd like to say about the improvement that would take place on the interstate, we have an excellent first responder and police force. And I'm very glad that they are covering that, because you're bringing interstate traffic into the township, and we want to make sure that we're mindful of that impact on our community.
Thank you. Next question, we will start with Ms. Schultz. What is your position on the 4-county rapid transit millage?
My position was clear last night. I voted unanimously with our Board of Trustees to have a resolution brought back to the township at a future board meeting so that we could oppose what they're asking us to participate in. I fully support North Oakland Transportation Authority, NOTA. We worked really hard to be able to get to the additional millage for NOTA Transportation because they provide such an excellent service for our seniors. So we want to continue as a community to support North Oakland Transportation Authority, and by the Board of Trustees voting unanimously to draft that resolution, I'm fully expecting to have a unanimous decision of the Board of Trustees when that resolution is brought back.
Thank you, Ms. Zielinski.
Again, I concur. I am not in favor of this. I don't see the benefit in requesting the taxpayers to pay for this when we aren't going to get full service from it. It's something that I fully believe that North Oakland Transit Authority already has under control. We have the capability to transport our residents. I don't see the benefit for Orion Township at all, and I would have voted the same way. No.
Thank you. This will be the last question before the closing remarks. What is the most important issue that you would support or attempt to pass in Orion Township during this next term? Something that is current or something that you need?
Who's to start?
And we will start with Ms. Zielinski.
I believe the most important issue that we're facing currently at the clerk's office is the lack of innovation and technology. We need to utilize our existing resources such as the township website and our mobile app to empower and engage our residents. This isn't currently being done. We have the ability to provide much more transparency by utilizing these resources and reaching our residents in a manner in which they choose to be reached. There are so many different avenues of technology that we need to grasp all of them and start utilizing them. I'm not saying that the clerk's office is going to go away. You're still going to get a friendly, smiling face when you walk in there, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have. But I believe that we need to bring our clerk's office into the 21st century. It's time. We can't keep running on outdated software, outdated systems, and outdated policies.
Thank you. Ms. Schultz.
Thank you for the opportunity to close with this. We need to preserve our natural resources. I think that's really important. Our motto is, where living is like a vacation. People value that. And we need to make sure that we're taking care of what's been entrusted to us. Another area where we're going to need to focus on is the implementation of the new election equipment. The state is going to fund a part of that for all of the municipal clerks in the state of Michigan, but the township is going to have to fund a portion of that as well. And we want to make sure that we're implementing that and training in that for all of our election workers as well as our community. That's very important. Implementation of our master plans. We have a great master plan that needs to be put in place, and we need to follow that. And we also want to make sure that we are serving the people, that we're continually making information available to our residents. Thank you.
Thank you. And now is the time for closing remarks, and we will respond in reverse order, and we'll start with Ms. Zielinski, 1 minute.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters and the Orion Area Chamber of Commerce for hosting this event tonight. I am not a polished politician, and nor am I a public speaker. I am a regular citizen that wants to stand up and make a difference in my community. I have the ability and the business resources to bring in innovation and corporate and ethical standards into the clerk's office. I do not believe that our current clerk has the ability at the moment to bring in the 21st century technology that we so desperately need in this community. I can guarantee you I do. I've worked on teams that can do this. I have the ability to be able to bring this to the forefront and make Orion Township a great place to live. I am Jen Zielinski, and I am looking for your vote on August 2nd as your next Orion Township clerk.
Thank you. Ms. Schultz.
Thank you for hosting this candidate forum. I truly appreciate your commitment to ensure voters have the opportunity to learn about each candidate. I am honored to serve as your clerk. It has been a very productive 8 years, and I'm looking forward to serving you in the years ahead. Local governments are unique in their position to impact future generations by the decisions that we make. I consider the short and long-term effects that our decisions will have on our residents. I am invested in our community. My husband Al and I have lived in Orion Township now for over 30 years, and we are blessed to have raised our children in the same community where my parents, Steve and Marlene Rubelman, grew up. Please contact me anytime, and remember to vote August 2nd. I'm Penny Schultz, your Republican candidate for Orion Township Clerk.